Hey guys, so it's here bringing you another video. Now, welcome to a dev video of one that I personally, and I think many people in League, have actually been kind of anticipating. I didn't think it was actually going to be coming out before Christmas. I thought they would have done it like in January. But this is an update of YUUMI's rework. Now, for those that haven't kept up to date, YUUMI obviously, and I think you'll be up to date with this part, she is not a very well-liked champion. She's had many problems, and she's ultimately been a balanced nightmare because her selling point, and what Riot has openly admitted to, is she is the entry level champion to non-MOBA champions players. So Riot have said it themselves. If you have got a friend that does never played a MOBA, which is the genre League of Legends is, you get them just to go on YUUMI and they'll be okay. That's what YUUMI's ultimately designed for, and Riot have admitted that. We all know that. But then when you combine that with then giving her kind of powerful mechanics, she's a balanced nightmare because she'll take over solo queue, she'll take over pro play, and she also is not great in terms of there's a lot of people that obviously have got to ranks that they really probably shouldn't have, but they've mained YUUMI. So she's a problematic champion. So I'm anticipating this. I don't think they're going to go the route that a lot of people are hoping for. You know, the ultimate route, and you know, they're never going to do this, but the ultimate route is when something bad in League, you know, is happening, Riot need to do something about it. They need to change it, they need to update it, and if it's really unhealthy, they need to pull it from the game until it's healthy. This was evident with Chemtech Dragon. They pulled it from the game and then they re-released it like 8-9 months down the line. I don't think they're going to pull YUUMI until she's healthy, and the reason why, and it's part of the ethos and part of the problem with League's kind of ethos and community, is people get attached to champions. They main them, they one-trick them, so if you suddenly delete that champion or take it away for a while, it screws a population of the community. And that did happen, by the way, to Gangplank players. A couple of years ago, there was a big lore event that Gangplank actually got killed. And, you know, it wasn't just like, oh, it's fun story and we're having a cinematic. He died. You could not play Gangplank for at least, I think it was a week or maybe even 2 weeks. They have done it before and there was a bit of backlash for it. So let's get into it and see what they actually say. Since YUUMI's release in 2019, she's simultaneously become one of the most popular champions and one of the most contentious. YUUMI is a special champion that allows new players to not only experience League of Legends quickly, this is the point that I've said, but also to learn the game side by side with their friends. As I said, you've got a friend that doesn't know a MOBA, come play YUUMI, anybody can play YUUMI. While YUUMI has succeeded at those initial goals, she's also been been a tough balance problem at all levels of play despite numerous changes and updates. We're here today to shed some light on the design team's thoughts on our magical cat friend, as well as provide some insight on the YUUMI rework. So the direction that I would ultimately want them to go with, and I've said it before, is the permanent latch mechanic is toxic. They need to do something about making it so you can make a YUUMI bounce off, like forcefully making one remove. And my suggestion has always been, if you double CC the target that YUUMI is attached to, she pops off. Why? Because in a normal lane, you have 2 targets. So in theory, you could use 1 CC for one target and another CC for the other. But when you're against a YUUMI lane, you only have 1 target, the AD carry. So if you double CC that 1 target, you've used that, and normally you'd maybe separate it, and that should pop her off. I actually think that's a really good and healthy idea. But we'll see if Riot does it. The cat attached to the elephant in the room. Unlike every other champion in League of Legends, YUUMI has a unique mechanic that allows her to attach to her allies and remain untargetable for a indefinite duration. While this unique mechanic has made her more approachable for a larger number of players and helped them fall in love with YUUMI, it also created obstacles. Yeah, literally, she doesn't need to position. The players who play YUUMI are the worst positioning in the game because they don't do it. The combination of YUUMI's enchanter level defenses, hyperscaling identity, access to powerful engage tools, and untargetability create the perfect storm for frustrating gameplay with little to no means of counterplay. Yeah. Enchanters as a class are often kept in check by their spell rages and low durability, with limit of how effectively they can protect and support melee champions. For example, fighter or assassins diving in the backline need to do so without the help of a Lulu shield or Soraka heal, and are quite often equipped with abilities and items to help them out. YUUMI circumvents a lot of this, as she's free to jump to whichever champion is strongest, regardless of what happened in early game. And we all know that, you know, it's literally your AD carry's not that great as YUUMI, so, you know, by level 4, I'm on my Rengar jungle, see you later AD carry, and they just take over the game. Since her release, we've made numerous small changes to maintain YUUMI's core fantasy while limiting her presence in pro play. A few more balanced changes and a durability update later, YUUMI still hasn't found a stable place in solo queue and has remained one of the premier champions in the last 2 World Championships. As a result, we think it's time to take a larger swing at changes to hopefully land YUUMI in a better long-term spot where she's better for her players, less prevalent in organized play, and easier to balance. Okay. In short, we're not satisfied with YUUMI's current state and making progress on a rework for her aimed at reducing some of things that make her frustrating to play against, while retaining the core gameplay pattern her players have come to love. We also want to address that we've identified a few primary reasons for her high ban rate and pro dominance. Losing lane to YUUMI often feels like losing the game due to her strong scaling. YUUMI's power isn't tied to her own success, so YUUMI being behind in lane doesn't feel impactful, so she can switch partners easily. Yeah, if you lose lane on YUUMI, it doesn't matter. If your jungler's done well or your top laner's done well, you just go attached to them, and you're not punished for that at all. Maybe, I don't know, like, the stronger she is, the longer latch time she can have. Maybe it's an actual, like, set time. Maybe, like, you know, at the beginning she only can latch for 10 seconds, but in the late game she can latch for a minute at a time. I don't know. Laning as an AD carry with YUUMI isn't fun due to her weak early game in solo play and a tendency to quickly attach to someone else. And in pro play, YUUMI lacks exploitable counterplay windows relative to her strong defense and engageable capabilities. All I will just say, and even if you like YUUMI, take those 4 things and apply them to any champion in League, and she's insanely busted. That's part of the problem. Like, it's insane how much freedom the champion has, and she's insanely easy to play. That's kind of part of the problem. Staying true to YUUMI. We believe that YUUMI has a key spot on the League roster when she's positioned as a champion like Garen, Annie, and Sona, who are designed to introduce players to Summoner's Rift. Okay, I'll just stop that right there, because Riot's shooting themselves in the foot by admitting that and saying those champions. The difference between Garen, Annie, and Sona, and yes, Sona had a more modern rework, I think, they are old champions. Really old champions who are very bog standard basic, very, very basic kits. YUUMI has a basic kit with far more strength. That's the problem, because she's a modern champion. I've always said, if you just compare modern champions now to champions who are basically the same as them in the same category of champion, 5 years ago, it's abundantly clear modern champions have so much more strength, but they aren't also necessarily harder to play. That's kind of part of the problem. They're not really harder to play, but they have so much more they can do. So admitting that she's positioned like champions like Garen, Annie, and Sona, but she can do so much more than them, and I would actually say she's easier to play. She's probably easier to play than Annie and Sona. Garen maybe not, but those two, I would say Annie and Sona are probably harder to play than YUUMI. So these champions play a vital role helping players learn League of Legends and have a low barrier to entry. On the other hand, these types of champions also have lower skill ceilings and get weaker in optimized pro play, which obviously is one of the weaknesses that YUUMI doesn't have. You don't really see Annie or Garen in pro play because they can get counterplayed so hard. But Riot themselves have actually admitted her counterplay window is nearly non-existent. So you see where these are adding up of the problems that YUUMI has. And also Double B25, 15 months tier 1. Thank you so much, dude. Appreciate it massively. While we do think there's a sizable player base that would love an intense champion focus on weaving between healing and shielding all four teammates. We believe that such a complex playstyle combined with Yuumi's frequent untargetability has been one of the sources of her many frustrations. Unattaching gives enemies opportunities to interact with Yuumi by using it as her core counterplay mechanic, skewed her towards higher MMR players. The end result was a playstyle that most Yuumi players didn't really want to engage with. Yeah, so basically what Riot are saying is, when we made Yuumi harder to play by making them actually have to do things themselves, the actual Yuumi player base doesn't like it. That's a problem. Like, that is when you've given them, and I'm going to say it and I'm going to offend some people and I apologize, when you've given them the baby champion of League of Legends, but that baby has insane amount of teeth and power, but then you actually want the baby to grow up and you actually have to play it properly, they throw a temper tantrum because they're like, well, we're not that good. That's a huge problem. And it's why, like, I've always thought, and you know, I'm a League partner, I like Riot Games, I know many of the devs and I'm friends with some of them. They've got over 160 champions, and a very human thing in life is making mistakes. It's getting it wrong. You're not always going to have a great anything in life. You're going to occasionally muck up, and not all 160 champions are successful. Not all 160 champions are good for the game, and Riot has never ever removed the champion once it's been live, ever. And is that a good thing? Yes, they do reworks and stuff like that, but what happens if the fundamental design of a champion just isn't healthy for the game? You're then hurting the game by keeping it. It's where I've always felt like there is a small problem with that, because Riot has never liked admitting mistakes. You know, how hard was it for the community to convince Riot to get rid of Chemtech Dragon? That was really hard, by the way, and there was meetings going on in the background that they... I heard a dog barking. But anyway, sorry. There was meetings that they really didn't want to get rid of it, trust me, but they did. So I don't know, maybe she's not the best, and maybe it was a mistake. So anyway, meanwhile, pro and elite players were eager to take these mechanics and maximize Yuumi's potential and hide her weaknesses. In high skill play, Yuumi players have learned to optimize unattaching to trade their own health to accompany trades. And that's good. You know, that's the point, is she pops off, she takes a bit of damage, then goes back immune. That's healthy gameplay because she's actually doing something. She's not just hiding and just poking and healing and going, woohoo. She's actually unattaching, putting herself at risk, but actively taking threat away from her AD carry. That's okay. So, yeah. Combined with frequency of unattaching to trigger their shield off cooldown, Yuumi lanes simply had more health to trade versus enemies, so that even hyper-aggressive ones like Draven and Lucian struggled against the cat, especially with the help of an additional summoner spell Yuumi can bring, because obviously she doesn't have to take flash. Similarly, when paired with highly mobile partners and good communication, Ezreal is a great example, Yuumi Q and R become highly consistent engaged tools, a power that few to no other enchanters possess. Very true. A lot of what they're saying, and I'll just take a quick pause. I don't know if Twitch chat, because I am streaming right now, I don't know if you guys would agree with what I'm about to say, is so far the article has then basically been going, she's a huge problem, right? Like, am I the only one? Like, it's just mad. And yeah, like Hextech Jinx has said, she also doesn't need to buy boots. All other supports have to buy boots. Yuumi doesn't need to buy boots. So she could have another combat summoner. So in bot lane, when you're against Yuumi, you're against usually heal, ignite, and exhaust. Like 3 combat spells versus 2. But yeah, like, I don't know. This whole article, I'm reading it and I'm trying to have a fairly open mind. Yes, obviously there is a bias. I don't like Yuumi, but I do think she's not good for the game. So far, this article is not great for Yuumi. So we'll see what, moving forward is as well. So looking forward, with the above in mind, we want to rework Yuumi to be an easy-to-learn enchanter that's all about protecting and enhancing her allies. This means a greater emphasis on how Yuumi can aid her allies earlier in the game by trading her damage and crowd control for more early power and defense. We think Yuumi staying attached for long periods of time is essential. Oh my god. Oh, that's ruined it. Is essential for her to serve her current players as well as players learning the game. Yeah, so the players who main Yuumi are bad. We know they're bad, so we actually have to keep that mechanic. Well, that's just ruined it. Like, just straight there. That is the mechanic that everybody hates. That is literally it. I don't hate Yuumi's kit. Her Q's fine. Her E's fine. Her ultimate's really strong, but it's fine. It's the fact that she can just go, I'm on a Rengar now, fun. Like, that's the problem. And, you know, maybe one of the things that they should change for quality of life is she attaches to a stealth target. That goes stealth. She doesn't go stealth, because guess what? She's not a stealth champion. So maybe there's like this little cat floating around somewhere, and you're kind of like, I think there's an Evelyn there, or a Rengar, or a Twitch, because it gives it away. For every strength of something, there should be a negative of something. There is no negative to Yuumi attaching to a stealth target, so maybe there should be. I don't know. So, however, since targetability and fragility are core weaknesses of most enchanters, this work also requires emphasizing other forms of counterplay for Yuumi. These could be making Yuumi's success tied to winning lane, making her skills easier to dodge, and making her less powerful on highly mobile characters. While we're still in the early stages of a YUUMI rework, they haven't really said much, you can expect to see a bit more from us next year while we make progress with sharing. We want this rework to land our magical cat in a more stable place and maintain her core gameplay fantasy for her players. Thanks for playing with us, and see you on the Rift. So, all I will say is this is a bit disappointing. And I think it's just naturally going to be for most of the players, because this whole few paragraphs of them saying she's a big problem, big problem, big problem, big problem. Most of that big problem is tied to her W. And then they straight away admit we have to keep the W the same. What? Like, so nothing really is going to change with Yuumi. That's a big problem. So the rework, I'm going to say it, is kind of pointless, because the thing that would fix Yuumi is fundamentally making the W healthier. They're saying that's not really going to happen. So it does worry me. I will say that is not great, but we'll see in the other updates what is to come. So let me know what you think. Do throw a like on the video. Do remember, if I upload this video, I think I will in the next few days, Huzzy Claws is currently on. It'll be linked in the description. Get your entries in. Some good prizes, including a Ridge wallet, Ridge pen, LeBlanc statue from Riot, Secret Lab Poro pillows for your gaming chairs, or chairs in general. So yeah, get your entries in, but that is going to be it. Like the video, comment down below. Please do let me know what you think of Yuumi. Do you think she's healthy? Do you not think she's healthy? Let me know. And please do subscribe. I'll see you guys in the upcoming content. Merry Christmas and all that stuff. See you guys next time. Goodbye.